section 6.3, we will look at how to write the equation of a line. The first thing we have to know to be able to write the equation of a line is how to find the slope. So, example 1 asks us to find the slope of the line that passes through 2, 7 and negative 1, 4. So, let's graph those points and look at them. So, 2, 7 would be right here, and negative 1, 4 would be right here. And we are looking at the slope of the line that passes through these points. So if we look at that slope, we can see that if we counted it, we would have to go up 3, and we would have to go to the right 3. So our slope, a lot of times we use the letter M for slope, such as in y equals mx plus b. Our slope would be 3 over 3, but we would like to reduce that. It's just going to be 1. So 1 would be the slope of this line. Now, this is convenient whenever you have a piece of graph paper and it'll nicely fit on the graph, but that doesn't always happen. So, when we look at example 2, we see we've got to find the slope of the line that passes through 20, 15 and negative 35, 45. So, this is going to be difficult to graph, but we can kind of sketch a rough graph of what we would have here. So, 20, 15 would be a point that would go over 20, up 15. It'd be somewhere around here. I'm going to call this point 20, 15. And then the point negative 35, 45, I would go negative 35 in this direction. I would go up 45. It would probably end up over here somewhere. Okay, so in order to find the slope of this line, we would need to be looking at our change in y over our change in x. So we've got to look at how far we have to go down. So we're looking at our y coordinates here because those tell us where we're at on the y-axis. We're going from 45 down to 15. So from 45 to 15, that is down 30. Then we would have to go to the right, and we've got to go a pretty far distance here. We're going from negative 35 over here to positive 20. So negative 35 to positive 20, this distance is 35 units. This distance is 20 units. So if we put that together all together, it would be 55. So our slope is negative 30 over 55. That will reduce. We can divide both of those by 5. So that would give us negative 6 over 11 for our slope for that line. Now, let's do the same thing, but let's do it without really looking at the graph so much. If we want to know our slope is our change in y over change in x, we know how much the y values change and how much the x values change. So if we look at 7 and 7, these are our y values. Well, those didn't change at all because 7 minus 7 is still going to be just 0. Okay? Then we have from negative 2, we have to go to negative 12. So negative 2 to negative 12, that would go down 10 units. If we were at negative 2 on the number line and we went down to negative 12, we'd go down 10 units. Another way you can think about that is you could say negative 2 minus negative 12. That gives you the difference there. That gives us down 10. 0 divided by negative 10 is just 0. So the slope of this line here is 0. Now, at making a formula for this that we could use every time, so it wouldn't matter what type of graph that we had. So the formula that we're going to use for this is the slope of the line that passes through x1, y1, and x2, y2 is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The y2 minus y1 means we just subtract our y coordinates, and that gives us our change in y. The x2 minus x1 means we subtract our x coordinates, and that gives us the change in x. So let's look at doing an example here for number 4. We're supposed to find the slope of the line that passes through 2, 7 and negative 8, 5. So it does not matter which coordinate we pick to be x1, y1, and x2, y2. I'm going to let this be x1, y1. This is going to be x2, y2. Okay, so we just plug this into the formula. We subtract our y's. So y2 is 5. So m equals for slope. And y1 is 7. So we'll have 5 minus 7. Our x2 is negative 8. And our our x1 is 2. So then we just have to calculate what we have here. 5 minus 7 gives us negative 2. Negative 8 minus 2 gives us negative 10. Now in this case, negative over negative is positive, and then 2/10 reduces to be 1/5. So we get a slope of positive 1/5. Now I want to show you that it doesn't really matter which one you let be x1, y1 and which one you let be x2, y2. So let's do the same problem again, a different way, and we'll see we get the same answer. Let's say that I'm going to let this be x2, y2, and this is going to be x1, y1. So this is my first point now, and this is my second point. So if we plug this into the formula, I'd have y2, which is 7. So m equals 7 minus y1, which is 5, over x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is negative 8. So when we do this, we would have 7 minus 5 is 2. And 2 minus negative 8, when we have minus and negative 8 here, we'll have to make those both positive. So this is really 2 plus 8, which gives us 10. And 2/10 reduces to be 1/5. So notice we get the same answer no matter which point we let be x1, y1, and which one we let be x2, y2. So our answer here, our slope is 1/5. We could graph this and find the same thing. But sometimes you're just not able to graph. Let's look at example 5 and use that same formula. So our slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it does not matter which point you choose. I'm going to let this be x1, y1. I'm going to let this be x2, y2. So let's do this here. I'm going to take my y2, I'm going to replace it with negative 2. So I'm going to erase this. I'm going to put negative 2. My y1 is 6, so I'm going to erase this. I'm going to replace it with 6. My x2 is negative 8. Erase this and put negative 8. And my x1 is 5. So I'm going to put the 5 here. So now I just have to calculate the value and reduce it. Negative 2 minus 6 is going to give me negative 8. And negative 8 minus 5 is going to give me negative 13. This will not reduce, but a negative over a negative is a positive, so we want to say that this is positive 8 over 13, and that is the slope of our line. Remember yesterday that we talked about slopes of vertical lines? So if you think about doing the slope of this line, if we pick any 2 points anywhere on that line, if our slope is rise over run, or our change in y over our change in x, we could start at this bottom point here. We would have to go up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But we would go over to left or right 0 places. So when we have 9 divided by 0, that is what we call undefined. Okay, so remember this, the slope of a vertical line is always undefined. We also talked about the slope of a horizontal line. The slope of a horizontal line, we picked a couple points here. If we did our slope, which is rise over run, or change in y over change in x, we would have to go up 0 and to the right 2 to get from this left point over here to the right point. So 0 divided by 2 is 0. So the slope of a horizontal line is always 0. Okay, let's just do a few more examples finding slope. So in this case, we have to find the slope of the line that passes through 2, 1, and 8, 1. So if we use our formula, we let this be x1, y1, and this be x2, y2. Our formula for slope tells us that we will do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that gives us 1 minus 1 over 8 minus 2. 1 minus 1, of course, is 0. 8 minus 2 is 6. 0 divided by 6 is 0. So we get a slope of 0. That tells us this is a horizontal line. If you notice, you can see that the y coordinates are the same, which means that they're going to have to be on the same level, giving you a horizontal line. So you could notice this before you do the formula if you're really good. For example 7, we've got negative 8, 2, and negative 5, 4. So we would again let this be x1, y1, and this point could be x2, y2. So we would say y2, which is 4, minus y1, which is 2, over x2, which is negative 5, minus x1, which is negative 8. Whenever we have this minus a negative 8 here, we have to change those both to positives. So we will have 4 minus 2 is 2, and negative 5 plus 8 is 3. So we get a slope of 2/3 for this line. And finally, if we look at number 8 here, we would let this be x1, y1, x2, y2. And we would say that our slope equals 3 minus 0, that's y2 minus y1, over negative 9 minus negative 9. So 3 minus 0 is 3. Negative 9 minus negative 9, we have to change this double negative to a positive here. So negative 9 plus 9 is 0. Whenever we divide by 0, that is undefined. So the slope of this line is undefined.